Hey guys, how's it going? And thanks for coming. I'm Nick and this is Real Life Money, where we talk about real life and money because schools aren't, so let's get started. So in this video, we're talking about my good old friend Mr. Buffett and the stocks that he is buying and holding right now. Right now is kind of like early 2018. So 2017 was a beast of a year. If you were in it, you basically made money no matter where you were. 2018, however, was a little bit different. A correction going on in February and March. But we're going to go over some of Buffett's top holdings. Fun fact for you, the market value of all of Buffett's holdings approximately right now is $176 billion. And then just a slightly smaller amount of $30 billion in cash. So a few quarters here and there. So let's get right into it, guys. Starting off with Warren Buffett's top holdings, which he's been buying for the past couple years now, 1 or 2 years. He's been getting into Apple. So Apple recently, you can see the chart. I'm going to show you all these different stocks and their 1-year chart so you can see how they've been doing. Warren Buffett has been buying Apple a huge amount. So, like I said before, the total amount of holdings in his portfolio around $176 billion. Around 16% of that is in Apple. Now, I personally love Apple. I do have Apple in my portfolio as well. Now, it's kind of an interesting play for Buffett because he was never a technology type of person. He still doesn't have a smartphone. He has a flip phone, even when he owns shares of Apple. But his other tech play was IBM, and he's slowly but surely getting out of that, and this is a huge tech holding for him in Apple of 16%. He started getting involved with them, like I said, a couple of years ago. Since then, Apple has been doing phenomenal, so he definitely made a good return with them. So Apple, their brand, they're a huge business. They're the top business of the world right now. They might be the first trillion-dollar company, so their growth is definitely there. So I agree with having Apple at least one of your top holdings. Moving right along, separate from the technology industry, Buffett also has a handful in financials, like bank stocks. So his first bank stock is Wells Fargo. Around 13% of his money is in Wells. Aside from Wells, he also is involved with Bank of America, around 11% holding for them. Now we have another couple of banks like BNY Mellon and Synchrony Financial or Synchrony Bank, whatever it's called. But it's definitely an interesting play, especially in a raising interest rate environment. So he's been involved with banks for a while now. He definitely probably picked up a bunch of shares during the financial crisis of 2008. So that was when, they decreased interest rates to basically zero, and they're just starting to increase those now. So this is a good play to be in financials because interest rates really can't go anywhere else but up. So what does that mean? Well, for banks, that means they're able to charge more interest on personal loans, car loans, mortgages, credit cards to some extent. So that means more money for the banks. So it might slowly but surely increase these interest rates. It might take a while, but due to this environment, it is increasing. So financials is a pretty good play. Notice most, if not all, of these companies do have a dividend, which is interesting as well. They're definitely huge companies that all of us know about. So let's move on to the next holding that Buffett has. They are involved with credit card and payment processing companies. So right here is American Express, around 8% of their holdings. So another holding, similar industry, is Visa. He also holds them, which I personally love as well. But this industry of, credit cards and just payment processing I think has really, really good growth. One, because everyone has credit cards. Like literally everyone has credit cards. No one uses really cash anymore, even though some might benefit because they're spending more than they even have. However, I digress. So using these credit cards basically anywhere, especially with online sales skyrocketing, what do people use to buy online? They use their credit cards. They could use, like he has, American Express or Visa. There's also MasterCard out there. But these sales are doing tremendous, so this growth for this industry is very, very strong. Alright, so we have a little bit of tech with Apple, and some people kind of argue that it's not completely technology. Some might say that it's retail or something like that. But we have technology, we have financials, and we have like credit cards, payment processing type of thing. The next industry Buffett is interested in are airlines. So you could see he has a bunch of them actually. He has Delta Airlines, he has Southwest Airlines, and his total airlines holdings is approximately around like 5% of his portfolio. Now, airlines are very interesting. I remember reading that Buffett didn't like airlines at all in the past. But recently their business structure and strategy has changed, which made them more attractive for Buffett. So obviously all of these industries are pretty straightforward. Like once you know it, the industry, the company, whatever, you know what they do. Same with airlines. It is definitely a lot easier to fly to anywhere you want in the world, basically, even if it's like just a weekend thing. You could get a Friday flight and be back by Monday. It's very simple to do this. So this could be with like business, it could be leisure, it could be like vacationing, whatever you want, you could fly there. It's also interesting because of gas prices. Recently, they are kind of on the low side. They might increase around like summer when it gets nicer out. It usually increases around that time. But with these low gas prices, that's obviously going to make these airlines more profitable because they don't have to pay as much to use the gas they have in the planes. So I do see some type of growth. You know, some airlines might be expanding type of thing. But you could also argue that there is obviously there's risk everywhere. But if we go into a recession, God forbid, you know, just everything crashes, people might lose their jobs. Well, guess what? People are probably not going to go on extravagant vacations and fly to places as often if we go into a recession. So that kind of brings some risk into the airlines. And also a side note with these tariffs, possible paying more on like steel and stuff like that, it might affect the cost of actually building these planes. So that's another thing to take into consideration, but overall they do seem kind of steady, and of course they do pay a dividend. So those are all of Buffett's like main holdings. The rest are kind of like single digit holdings, maybe like a couple percent, less than 1% holdings. Some examples, a bunch of them are dividend plays, by the way. So one example could be Costco. Costco was a really good dividend company, been around forever, of course. Another one is Walmart, so some retail plays there. Now, retail, some people are scared of it just because of online sales. Walmart took a recent hit. Some people blame Amazon for that. But again, they are huge companies. It might take them a while to get hurt from it, but they are getting hurt from it. And of course, on the side, they do provide those dividends. And another side company that I personally like is Johnson & Johnson. Another dividend play, pharmaceutical company. Another one he has is Procter & Gamble, more dividends. So those are kind of the main plays, main industries and stuff that Buffett holds. Now let's look at his actual company of Berkshire Hathaway. So this is his B shares. They are much less expensive than the A shares that you'll see in a minute. But they're around $200. You can see their 1 year chart recently has been up and down due to the correction. So this could be a buying opportunity. You can see the PE is very low, and it is a great company. I actually recently just purchased a few shares of Berkshire Hathaway just because the market was down. I'm like, hey, let's just put it into Berkshire Hathaway. Just because it's kind of like a mutual fund. They have a bunch of different stocks. If you can't make up your mind of which one, you could just choose Berkshire, and it's like a mutual fund with no expenses. So kind of cool. Like I was saying, we're looking at the Class A shares. If you have an extra $300,000 laying around, might as well just funnel it into this bad boy. But this, you can see, is a 5-year chart. I highlighted around 2013 was around 170,000, and right now is 300,000, guys. So it almost doubled in 5 years. So it is definitely a decent pick. So I like his holdings. There is growth there. So it's definitely stable. It's not a bad investment at all. However, it's not the greatest investment. And Buffett also said this as well, because he is a large company, so much money, he's not able to get in and out very quickly in some stocks, and he can't get involved with smaller companies, because if he does, he'll be like a majority shareholder, then that causes problems. So he has to deal with larger companies, and larger companies has smaller growth. So this isn't a horrible thing. Berkshire's just not going to be seeing like 100% growth like for 2018. But there is still growth, stability, and stuff there. So that's why I personally think, at least for me, I think it deserves some type of holding in your portfolio. The only bad thing is it doesn't pay a dividend, and probably won't pay it anytime soon, because Buffett doesn't believe in giving dividends to their shareholders, because Berkshire is able to keep those dividends, and then when it sees an opportunity, it's able to reinvest those dividends. So I actually agree with that mentality. So I don't mind not getting dividends. And you think I forgot his most popular holdings of Coca-Cola? What? No, Buffett still owns Coca-Cola, will probably always hold Coca-Cola, has just under like a 10% holdings in Coke, just because everyone knows who the heck they are. So he's going to hold them, providing nice dividends for them. You know, probably doesn't have tremendous growth, but it's Coke. So guys, those are my friend Buffett's holdings in his company of Berkshire Hathaway. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. If you're interested in any of the holdings that he has, would you purchase Berkshire Hathaway? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And I actually might do another video. If you're interested, you could like this video. I'll give you some of my holdings that I have in my portfolio. I'm a little less popular than Mr. Buffett, but if you're interested, I'll definitely tell you guys that. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Real Life Money, where we talk about real life and money. I just started an Instagram account if you guys want to follow it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.